Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
How about the screen?
Visible.
Yes, sir,
Sir.
it's
Yes,
visible.
sir, we can see the screen.
Okay. So good morning all, and welcome you all to this session of Python application programming. We were discussing about classes and objects so far. Yeah, copying. In the previous class, at the last few moments of your class, we were discussing about this copying method. And there are two different types of copying. One is shallow copy and the other one is deep copy. So here, if you want to create an alias of an object, okay, if you want to create an alternative to an object, you can copy the object using a copy function. You could see here p1 is equal to point. This is an object. p1.x, p1.y are attributes. Copying an object, I can create an alias or a copy of p1 by importing a copy module, and from that copy I have a method called copy. So I create a copy p2 using a syntax or a constructor copy.copy of p1. Okay, so now I will verify whether p1 and p2 are two different objects, whether p1 and p2 has been copied completely by p2. So I'll print p1 and I'll print p2 both. I could see 3 and 4, though you have the same values. p1 and p2 contain same values, but these are two different objects. These are two different objects. So I'm going to see p1 is p2. I'm going to verify whether p1 is p2. So you'll get false. Why? Because those two are two different objects. So if I want to use or create a copy of a rectangle now. So if I want to create a copy of a rectangle, in our previous programming, I had a box object. I had an object called box, which was which belonged to a class called rectangle, which got three attributes: width, height, and a corner. Okay, and now I create a copy of box in box2. Verify box2 is box. Yeah, box2 and box are two different objects. That's why you're getting false. But unfortunately, if I could see box2.corner, if I try to verify the objects which are embedded inside the object, so those are not copied. You could see box2.corner is box.corner. It became true. That means it is still a same object, right? It is still the same object. Box2.corner and box corner are same object. So what do you want to do? We have to use deep copy. So if I use deep copy, so I could get box corner as false. So what do you mean by deep copy? Deep copy copies the object and also the object it refers to. Whereas shallow copy simply copies the object, the overview or the overview of the object. And any references it contains, but not the embedded object. Just like the dot corner here in this example. Okay, so now after this, so this is all about classes and functions, sorry, classes and objects. Now we shall look into the aspects of classes and functions. So before I go to classes and functions, I would we would discuss few things about functions. So what are functions? Why do we use functions? See, in module 1, in the beginning of this subject, we started defining functions of our own, user defined function. Now that we know how to create new types using classes, the next step is to write functions. Although we have written a couple of functions in the previous sessions, and we try to pass an instance as an argument to the function. Okay, but now here we will write a function that takes programmer defined objects as parameter and return some results. Okay, so I call this as functional programming style. And we will see two different types of development plans, program development plans. That is program planning and program planning, prototyping, and modifiers. While explaining these functions to you, I'll consider a class called time. I'll take an example of a class called time. I'll define a time. Okay. So what do you mean by a time? Time that records the time of a day in terms of hour, minute, and second. If you could see this example, I have created a class called time, and I have a document string here which tells or which briefs about this class. So it represents the time of a day, and I have an attributes like hour, minute, and second. Okay, and if you could see here, I have created a new time object. So this small t time is equal to capital T time. Here I have created an object, and also I have assigned attributes values for hour, minute, and second. Okay, and I would define a function called print underscore time that takes a time object and it prints it in the form of hour, minute, and second. Okay, now let us just go to our classwork notebook, because explaining it on the slide would not be much feasible or not much understandable. So let me just switch to the notebook. Is the notebook visible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what is that you could see on the screen? Is the notebook visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So here we are discussing about classes and functions. Okay. So now I will define a class which looks like this. I have a class called time, which represents the time of a day. And what are the attributes? Attributes are hour, minute, and second. And I can create a new time object and assign attributes. So time is an object here, and hour, dot minute, dot second are attributes. Yeah. So now I could also define a function called print underscore time. I can also define a function called df print underscore time, which takes the time as an object. I could say t here. This is user defined. This can be of any variable, and I'll be referring to this variable. I'll print I'll use my formatting operators percentile d or percentile 0.2d. Why? Because I'm trying to print two-digit numbers in the format colon. So I just try to copy this. Okay. Then separated by another percentile. Inside the bracket, I would write t dot hour, comma t dot minute, comma t dot seconds, or t dot second. Why? Because I'm using the second here. Okay, so now if I run this program, now I have defined this function called print underscore time. I could say print underscore time of time. See, what is this time? Time is an object here which consists of 3 attributes. Okay, before that you just see what is time. Print time. So it's an object, some memory location, some random memory location. Now if I say print underscore time, this is my user defined function. This is my function, and you could see this is a function, and this refers to the object, and time is an alias to t here inside the function. T dot hour refers to time dot hour. T dot minute refers to time dot minute, and t dot second refers to time dot second. So here I pass an instance. Okay, I pass an instance as an input argument to any function. Okay. Any doubt here? Yes, do we have any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. So now, give me 1 second. I had self method. Guys, have I given any thoughts on self a parameter?
No, sir.
Huh?
No.
In my very first class? No? Are you sure? Okay. Let me just try to repeat it if I have not given. So this is a function which we are trying to define, which is outside this class. Let me copy this. Is it outside the class? Can you just try to differentiate these two different types? Yeah, here. This is a programmer defined type. Here I've created a class, programmer defined type. Here, this is a programmer defined function. And carefully observe, I'm giving an input argument as an object here, as instance as an input argument. So now let us not worry much about these instances. Just imagine that, just assume that I'm going to give some input argument to this function. And the input parameter is what? T. And T is an input argument. Correct? So now, what do you mean by a method? What do you mean by a method? So whenever you try to define a function inside, understand guys, I repeat, whenever you try to define a function inside an object, inside a class, you call it as a method. I repeat, whenever you try to define a function inside a class, how to define a method inside a class? How do you make this function belong to this class? Guys, I'm asking you a simple question. The body
By
of a class. By?
taking,
By?
taking object as argument.
No. I want to make this function belong to this class. Okay. Is this statement belong to this class? Is this document string?
Yes,
Sir, you just indent it and put it above, sir.
Correct. What you said is correct. See here, this whatever statement I'm going to type with an indentation, okay, it belongs to this class. You might have seen in my first class here, I had a class called person. Okay, I had a class called person, and I've just mentioned a couple of document string just in order to make sure what the class belongs to explain the class. And the class consists of attributes, feature and data in terms of name, gender, and age, and a behavior like functions or methods, what a person can behave or what a person can perform. He can talk and he can vote. Now we could see here, define attributes. I'm going to define an attributes here by using an init method, and self is an input argument. Self is always the first parameter of the methods. See here, if I had placed this def something like this, so this should not have belong to this class. So if I, and here self, if there are some other parameter, say t, okay, so this is not a definition of a method. So what is the definition of a method? Definition of a method clearly states that it should be followed by an indentation to make sure that it belongs to that particular class, and the first parameter is always self. Understand, the first parameter is always self. I'll talk more about self in the next topic when you deal with classes and methods. Okay, so just for the sake of clarity, I'm just going back to my previous example. Here this is an init, this is the initialization, this is an init method. I call it as a method now, it's not a function because it is defined inside the class. So this is an init method which will have some initialization being done to the attributes. See here, I have done some initializations to self.name Sam. I've initialized some values to this name, gender, and age. And I have also initialized, see here, the first parameter of the method is self. Self means refer to the same object, refer to the same class. Attributes refer to the same class. Okay, so I'm trying to print, hi, I am self.name. Self.name refer to the same class attribute. So self.name has got a value called Sam. So the Sam will be printed here if you call this particular method. Okay, we have studied these things in the last class. I created an object here, person.talk, object, person.vote. So I printed these two statements now.
Yes, sir.
Likewise, I have changed a couple of things here. And see, the same function, but I replaced it by some variable, name by n, g by gender, and age by a. And still I have an attributes declared by the user here. You could see the attributes has been declared by the user outside the class. This is object 1. He created an instance with the attribute values as an input argument. So this is referred to as init. So self.name Self.gender will have this value Sam, male 22, and etc. How to call this method? Call by using dot method. obj1 with an input argument of attributes. I could call this method with a dot notation obj1 dot talk, obj1 dot out. So I could get these two as an output. I can also create another instance obj2 with different attributes. I can also print another instance obj3 with the different instances. Likewise, you can have n number of instances which will be created. So what do you understand with this? The behavior of method. If I want to make this as a method, now let us go back to our example. So if I want to make this as a method, it is not only the indentation which you are going to give, but also, see here, I'm going to give an indentation here, followed by the other statements which belongs to this method now. But the problem is, guys, the problem is it should be of, the first parameter should be of self. Then only I can call this as a method. Method. Okay. First parameter is self always, if you want to call it as a method. Understand? Guys, did you get it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let us just try to understand the pure functions first. Then we shall take up this method and the next, after understanding pure functions and modifiers. Let me just clarify a few more things here. I'll run this program. You have created a time instance here, t is equal to time so and so. I'll create another time instance, time1 dot hour, time1 dot minute, time1 dot second. So this is another instance. Just like I had obj1, obj2, obj3, and so on, can I have another instance? Okay. So now I'll run this program also. Now, how to call this method? Can anybody suggest me how to call this method? Guys, how to call this method? Just verify here.
Print
Did you call?
time,
Yeah.
time 1.
Yes. Yes.
Sir,
Be
print
louder.
underscore time and then in brackets time 1.
Okay. So please be loud, little bit louder so that I can type.
Sir, print underscore
Hmm?
time
Hmm?
in brackets time 1.
Okay. So you meant to say print underscore time in the bracket time 1. Here, this is fine. Why? Because this is referring to my previous definition. So let me just change this to print underscore my time. Okay, so then your answer would be my time, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now if you could see here, I've got an error. Why? Because print underscore my time is not defined as a function. And this is how you call a function, not a method. How to call a method? I could say,
Time1 dot
use,
print
yes,
underscore my time.
come again.
Time1 dot print underscore my time, sir.
Time1 dot print underscore my time. See, a time object has no attributes called print underscore my time. So what is the answer then?
Sir, self dot print my time of t.
No, no. So how to call this method then?
Sir, capital T time dot print underscore my time.
Capital time printers. Okay. Just go back to this. Okay. What was this? OBG1 is equal to person. So I had to define, right? I had to define this init method self and then assign this self dot and so on. It will not work here because you are not initialized the values for this.
Sir, we are not passing anything for T. That's why it is.
I am not passing any input argument.
For T.
Can I say like this now? Or do you want me to pass? That is what I am telling here. You are not yet declared the init method. Init method is missing here, so that it would refer to some values. So that we shall see in the next coming slides. So I understand this problem, right? I could try this also because you'll be having some sort of doubt in your mind. Okay, here nothing is possible, but how to call the method we'll discuss in the next class. Okay, now let us stick to our basics. Like we are just trying to define the functions and try to understand the function along with the class. Yeah, this is possible. Now there are two different types of functions. In the next few sessions, we will try to write two different types of functions and time values. And we'll demonstrate pure functions and modifiers. So what do you mean by pure functions and modifiers? So we'll be discussing more about these two things now. We're still in functions. Don't get confused with the self and method here. Self, if I say self, it would be what? It would be a method, but now it's a function. Okay. So what are pure functions and modifiers? So pure functions, they also demonstrate a development plan. I call it as a prototype. Pure functions are much similar to a prototype. And modifiers are much similar to a patch. Patch means some modified programs. Prototype means a pure function or a blueprint. Okay, just like your class. So usually, if we have a complex problem, so what we do, we try to discretize it. We try to reduce the complexity of the problem into multiple cells by creating a small discrete cells of which addresses the common problem. So here pure functions behaves as a prototype. So suppose if you're watching a movie, right? If you started watching a movie at 8:30 a.m. with some 8:30:01 seconds, okay, and a movie length is around 1.5 hours. I repeat, if you start watching a movie, let me just put it here. Start watching a movie at 8:30:01 seconds. Okay, this is how the time format is represented, and the movie is of length, say some 2 hours. Okay, say some 2 hours, 30 minutes or 20 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay. I want to calculate, or I want to find what is the time, what is the time after watching a movie. Guys, can anybody tell the answer for this present time? What is the time after watching the movie? Hello?
Yes, sir.
What is the time? What is the actual time?
9:12.
10:52.
Huh? 10:52? 10? 8 plus 2 is 10. Let's come on, guys. This is a simple addition. 10:50 seconds.
10:52.
Sir, 10:51. 31 seconds.
Good. So I am expecting this answer.
Sir, not 0131.
Why? 01 plus 30 is 31, right?
Sir, at first you had typed 010, that's why I told.
Okay, fine. Okay. So now this is 8 plus 2 is 10. 30 plus 20 is 50, and 1 plus 30 is 31. And of course, this is in hour, minute, and seconds format. Okay, so my problem statement is very simple. I started watching a movie at 8:30, 1 second, and movies of length 2 hours, 20 minutes, and 30 seconds. So what is the actual time after watching the movie? So I want you guys to write a function. How to write a function? So I have a simple, you call it as a simple prototype of add time. So what I do, I just create a prototype. Call this function as a prototype function, which is a pure function. Okay. So I will define a function add underscore time t1 and t2. T1 and t2 are two different objects. T1 I might represent the time which I started, and t2 is another object which I might represent length of a movie. It should add these two things, right? So how to add? So I'll define an instance here. I'll define an object called sum, which is equal to, can I define it as sum is equal to time? Is it okay? Can I define sum is equal to time? Guys, I'm asking you a question here. Can I define an object inside the function as time? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now what I need to do? What I need to do? I need this hover, right? I need this hover, which is an addition of t1.hover plus t2.hover, is it? Guys, come on, you should be quick here.
Yes, sir.
Sum.hover is an attribute. Sum.hover is an attribute to this new instance called sum, which is equal to t1.hover plus t2.hover. Is it okay? Is it okay?
Sure.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now what should I do with sum.minute then? Is equal
T1
to
dot minute plus
t1.minute plus T2 dot minute. Good. What should be the second?
Sum dot second equals T1 dot sum.
So what I need to return? I need to return. Can I return sum? Is it okay if I return sum?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So now I'll take the same example. I'll take the same values. What values I have taken? 8, 30, 0, 1, right? So now here I'll create an instance called start time, right? So movie has started. Start is an object of a time. Movie has started at what time? Start dot hour is equal to, at what time it has started? Is equal to 8, correct? Start dot minute is equal to, at what time it has started? Start dot minute is equal to 30. 30, and I say start dot second is equal to 1. I'm just trying to define this object here. Is that okay? Any problem? Guys, is there any problem now?
No, sir.
Okay, now I will take, I'll try to define this movie length, which is an alias to T2. I'll declare it here. So I'll represent it as a duration. Represent it as duration is equal to time. This is a new object or an instance. And then duration dot hour is equal to, what is, how many hours movie? It is 2 hours. Duration dot minute is equal to, what is it? Minute, it is 20. And duration dot second is equal to this 30. So now I have defined two instances. I've started watching a movie at 8 hours, 30 minutes, and 1 second. And the movie is of length 2 hours, 20 minutes, and 30 seconds. So, and this has been defined as duration object. And if I call this function, guys understand, if I call this function here, how to call a function? By its name. I call it by its name, add underscore time of, okay, and I say start comma duration. What is start here? Start is an alias to T1. T1 dot hour refers to start dot hour. T1 dot minute refers to start dot minute. T1 dot second refers to start dot second. Duration is an alias to T2. So T2 dot hour refers to duration dot hour. T2 dot minute, duration dot minute. T2 dot second, duration dot second. So there should be no confusion here. And I can always use my print statement. It's become a little handy here. It will always be useful for my print statement. I can say done, why? Because I would say done is equal to add underscore time start duration. So this is my actual time, or you can say, what is the time I'm trying to declare here? This is my, what is the time after watching a movie? So this is a time after watching a movie. So I call it as actual. I hope you got the same answer. 10, 50, 31 is what you expected. 10, 50, 31. And print underscore time is my function which was defined earlier. I can use this here. So if you want all the program in one piece. You could put it here. Okay? Is any doubt? So this is a pure function where what you understood by this, I'm not trying to change the objects here. See, sum dot har, start dot har, duration dot har remain to be the same. See, have I changed the object here? Have I changed my original object here? So it remains to be the same. It is still 8. Correct? Guys, are you following?
Yes, sir.
I'm not
Yes.
changing the object which was defined by the user. Rather, what I did, I created an object inside the function which is modified. See here, sum is a new object which was created inside the function, which is modified. See, sum dot hover is modified by adding two values which was declared or created by the user. The object was created by the user outside this function. And these objects are not touched, or these objects are not muted. Okay, means changed. You call these kind of functions as pure functions. I repeat. Okay, I repeat, the functions which does not change its state. Right? The function does not change the state of the object which it receives. We call it as a pure function. Is it okay? Any doubt? So what is the other part then? What is the other part? Guys, what is the other part? If the function which you have created is a pure function which does not change the state of the object, we call it as a pure function. The other part is the function which modifies the state of the object, you call it as a modifier. Very simple. So in that situation, whatever input that you're going to give as an object will be changed or will be modified inside the function. You call it as a modifier. Correct? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So my the concept which I want to deliver was very simple. The function which does not modifies the object which has been received as an input argument, or instance which is received as an input argument, is called as pure functions. Whereas the object will modify, okay, the objects will get modified, which has been received as an instance. We call it as modifiers. But have you ever seen what happens if I say the movie, the start second is 32? Guys, if I say I started watching a movie at 8:30 and 32 seconds, what is your answer? What is your answer? Come on, tell me fast. Hello? Am I audible? What is the answer for this? Is it 10, 50 and 62 seconds? Correct?
Sir.
Okay, so is it acceptable? Is this format of time acceptable?
No, sir.
What I need to
Yes,
do?
sir.
10:51 2.
Okay, so basically the program which you have written was a prototype, and the result which you're looking 10, 50, 62 seconds might not be what we were hoping for. So the problem is that this function does not deal with the cases where the number of seconds exceeding will be adding up to the minutes, and the minutes exceeding will be exceeding 60 will be added up to the hour. So this does not carry. This will not happen here. So what I need to do? I need to use an improved version. Okay. I need to use an improved version. So how to use an improved version? So I'll just introduce a condition here. Okay, I'll just introduce a condition to the same function. Guys, understand? I'm just trying to introduce this condition if the sum dot second exceeds here. If the sum dot second exceeds 60, reduce the sum dot second by minus 60 and increase the minute by 1. If the minute exceeds 60, reduce the minute by the value 60 and hour by 1. In order to overcome this problem, so I just introduced a couple of conditional statements. If statement where it exceeds 60, I will increment sum dot second by 60 and sum dot minute I will increment by 1 and I will decrement it by 60. Here minute will be decremented by 60 and hour will be incremented by 1. And now if I try to use this in example, so now okay, still you have this problem. What happened? I should say add time. So let us just try to change it to some other function. Shall I call this as inc underscore add time? I'll call this as inc underscore add time. What happened? I should run this. Okay, fine. Now this looks good. So now I have just incremented add time using if conditions. Okay. But still have some problem. What if it exceeds? What if a user had given, say, unknowingly 130 seconds? This is unacceptable. Correct? Guys, I'm asking you some very simple questions. So what I need to do? What is the solution?
Convert it to minutes.
Aye, it's already been converted, man.
Divide by 60.
Like, try using while loop because it will be in the loop, right? It will be in the loop, right? The simple conversion from while to if to while will solve your problem. Don't do much things. This is not there in your textbook. Make sure that you understand these concepts clearly. Rather, if I use if, the condition will check only once. See guys, if I use if, the condition will check only once. If I use while, it will check the condition till this condition is satisfied. And this sum dot second, you need not to worry about sum dot second, you not increment, you not to call the sum dot second. Since this is an object, the present status of the object will be given for the comparison here. The present status of the object. Understand? Okay. Yeah. So I think time is up. We shall try to discuss more on these concepts in the next coming class. Hope you understood this concept, and thank you for attending this session. If you have any doubt, just watch this video, and still if you have any doubt, just let me know. You can WhatsApp me or you can just mail me. So those things can be addressed in the coming sessions. Okay. Thank you guys. Take care.